Hello, I'm Sue Rowlands, an English medium from Stansted Hall, the Finley College. In England, mediumship and spiritualism is a religion. We have over 400 churches. We have maybe some slightly different ideas than other religions because we have a philosophy as well. Whereas the Christian religion has their commandments, we have our 7 principles. We do believe in God, we believe in the brotherhood of man, but one of our main principles is personal responsibility. We feel we are all responsible for what we do here on the earth, that we can't just say on our deathbed, oh, I believe in God and everything is forgiven. We believe we should think carefully about our actions, treat people as we would like to be treated ourselves. Now, mediumship is to prove survival. It tries to prove to people that they don't die when they leave the physical earth, that the body dies, but they live on, that they should look at their lives, try and change their lives. And mediumship also brings a lot of help to people who have lost children, who have lost husbands and wives. It's a reassuring religion that we don't just paint a rosy picture of when you pass to the spirit world. We tell people, as you sow, so shall you reap. So if you've been not a very nice person here on the earth, so you will be with those in the spirit world as well. But the main point, really, with spiritualism is to prove that you can't die when you leave the physical earth, that your life does carry on and progression goes on. Life is eternal. It doesn't stop in the spirit world either. You go on and on forever. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, there's no rest when you die. Don't expect a time when you can just sit back and do nothing. If you want to go forward, it's hard work that does it. But over the years, yes, I have seen so much sadness, so much sorrow with people, and have found that through mediumship, it can give them that little bit of hope, that they know children they've lost, they'll meet again, they'll be back with them. I can't give them back their children. Nobody can do that if they've passed on. But if you can just give them the reality that their children are safe, they are with other family members, that can give people the strength to get through those difficult times. I literally start with a form of psychometry. Now, psychometry only means I like to hold something that they wear. It holds their energy. It holds everything in their life back to the day they were born. Even if the watch or the ring, they only bought it last week, the energy pattern is there. Now, I'd like to just very, very quickly just do a short demonstration of what I do when somebody comes for a sitting and explain to you how I do this psychometry. So I'm just going to take an article off a gentleman who is doing this interview. I don't know anything about him, and I'm going to take a bracelet he's given me, and let's see what we get. So if you go for a sitting and you work with a medium like me, you won't be frightened. So here's the article, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bracelet, a gold bracelet, a very nice one. Let's see what we get with it. Now, I get the feeling here with this gentleman, even though I only met him a few moments ago, he shows a very relaxed way in his life, but there's a great tension and a great nervousness with him. There's a great unsettlement with him in his life because I feel there's a great force with him in life. He wants to do things new. He wants to go a new way. He wants to start up new things. He doesn't always like the old ways. It's almost like a pioneering feeling I've got here. He's got such an open mind, a stretching mind, and yet I feel a lot of people around him, but very few people he would choose as friends, so very few close friends. I also know there's been heartache with this man because I just feel a broken heart there, that he's not easily trusting people, very, very cautious. Even though he seems very open, I feel you couldn't get close to his heart very easily because the past, there have been things there that have gone on, even back to the age of 16, where he went through a very confusing time in his life at the age of 16, and I felt a lady's influence, possibly a mother there, that could have wanted him to go one way, but he chose to go another way. I also know there is a lady in the spirit world here that steps in for him. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone into the spirit world with this man because there's a lady come in here. She would have had dark hair when she was living, and I know her hair would have been dark grey before she passed. She's quite plump, she's not a thin lady. I feel there possibly sickness in this area coming from the stomach area, but there was also some chest problems and a little bit of heart problem. I don't feel I've got mother here, I feel I've got his grandmother here, and I know this lady would have linked to countryside at one time in her life because I can see flowers. I can see all this around her as she comes in, and he's telling me I'm correct, ladies and gentlemen. I know she brings a lot of love because she had contact with him when he was a small boy. And I know also there must have been somewhere he remembers where she lived, where there was running water here. I've got a stream running here at the side of the home. I've got countryside flowers, and I just feel she's coming in and saying, come on, go for it, be tough in life, go for it. Don't let the hurt in the past that's affected you stop you in the future. You see, she's talking of a contract here. This gentleman could be offered a contract in a business way, and I feel he's got to be cautious who he ties himself down with. I feel he needs a freedom in his work. He needs to be able to grow in his work, because I know here this could also involve overseas, and I feel I could even touch America here, because it seems as though things could grow. And she's taking me to America, and she's just saying, now be cautious here, watch everything, get the financial side right, because I feel somebody could make a lot of money out of you, and maybe you won't come out
Sue
of it
Rowlands
as well
proved
yourself.
her ability as a medium to the producer and director of this film, Johann af Graan. Through psychometry, she contacted a person who she thought was his grandmother, but who Graan later realized, on the basis of a doctor's statement, was his dead mother. Rowlands predicted that Graan would be invited to the United States, where he would win great acclaim. 3 weeks after Graan had met Rowlands in Switzerland, he did receive an invitation to Las Vegas, where he won the award for the best UFO documentary of 1993 with his Visitors from Space. The rationalist view of the world has over the past few decades encountered growing difficulties, while the new profound interpretation of quantum mechanics has cast doubt over many of the conventions of science. New wave physicists claim that awareness creates the material world around us, the mind rules over matter.
During the last century, several interesting paranormal phenomena were discovered. According to their view of the world, they were seen as the product of the subconscious, of either the medium or someone present. They also thought it could have been the dead interfering. The latter explanation suited the worldview of the last century. Now, many things have changed. Let's think of, say, Jung's psychology and the concept of the unconscious. The collective unconscious is thought to cover several areas, and also to enclose the dead. But we have to go further. The worldview has changed completely during the last 20 to 30 years. Physicists have made tremendous leaps in their research. The seen and the unseen worlds are entwined in such a complicated way that we simply can't understand it. One might understand it as a mathematical formula, but it is totally impossible to present it visually. In this world, there's much more too. Connections occur that enable inexplicable phenomenon to happen to us, that we deem supernatural. On one side, they involve the dead, test persons, and neutral communicators. When you mix these, you get a spiritualistic phenomenon. But it is incredibly difficult to comprehend. Science can't keep up with it. We're standing on the threshold of a new worldview, but it is one that is very hard to understand. We can't yet see what will evolve. Unfortunately, we're at a point where parapsychology can't yet react to this new worldview. Parapsychology, just like other sciences, is still caught in the worldview of the last century or the turn of the century. The thing is, we have to work hard on all fields to keep up with progress and not to be led astray, which is a great danger.
The power of mind over matter has been investigated in many laboratories in different parts of the world, and an abundance of evidence of the existence of psychokinesis, or telekinesis as it's sometimes called, has been found. Psychokinesis is one of the main areas of parapsychology. Another equally important area of research is extrasensory perception, which includes telepathy, clairvoyance, and precognition. One of the most striking proofs of the mind's power over the body is levitation, whereby man is able to reverse the power of gravity. Levitation is a phenomenon known from the life stories of many Catholic saints. In their case, it seems to have been born out of a powerful, unconscious state of trance. In the recent past, the most famous producer of psychokinetic phenomena has been Uri Geller, whose contact with the extrasensory world began with his UFO experience. Today, a great majority in the scientific world consider paranormal phenomena either proven or at least probable. The very latest area of research in parapsychology is transcommunication, contact across the frontier of death through instruments. The unpredictability of the phenomena has proved the most difficult factor affecting basic research into the paranormal. In this respect, transcommunication may signal a breakthrough. The Egypt of the pharaohs has surprisingly often provided the background for experiences which are colored by a vivid impression of their link to the person's former life. Many people even have conscious memories of the phenomenon called reincarnation. A great deal of reincarnation-related material has been discovered through automatic writing and hypnotic regression. Also, many other forms of artistic expression, such as visual arts and music, have served as channels for such material. Many well-known poets, composers, and painters have performed through mediums. The Bible has many descriptions of psychic healing, which involves a transfer of energy from the healer to another human being. Indigenous peoples have mediums, shamans, or healers who, through charms or rituals, master skills inconceivable to modern man. The healing process can take many forms: prayer, laying on of hands, or long-distance healing. Stigmatism, which causes marks resembling the wounds of the crucified Christ to appear on the bodies of certain individuals, is another paranormal phenomenon found mostly in the sphere of the Catholic Church. Altered states of consciousness, hypnosis, dreams, out-of-body experiences, and UFO experiences have enabled us to discover some of the latent abilities of the human mind. With the advances made in UFO research, it has become evident that the world of paranormal phenomena can also be reached from that angle. And it seems obvious that the representatives of other civilizations use altered states of consciousness to further their own ends.
UFOs and paranormal phenomena are linked because when studying UFOs, you always come across inexplicable phenomena that could be classified as parapsychological. The objects known as UFOs, when they're airborne, are usually paranormal because one person sees them and another doesn't. Some instruments detect them, others don't. Radars detect them, and hence they break all the laws of physics.
Although Russian scientists have shown great interest in parapsychological research for decades, it was not until the collapse of communism that the doors for public discussion were finally opened, for better or worse. The press now present bioenergy measuring equipment. Television viewers are startled by scenes in which a dead person walks. Official science has also been keen to approach the subject. The Parapsychological Institute established in Moscow examines people's latent paranormal powers.
To study three key fields, we've set up a committee, a public scientific committee with three departments. One, studying phenomena concerning humans. One studying the Earth, i.e. anomalous phenomena. And one studying outer space phenomena. Our civilization is in an ecological and philosophical dead end. These scientific institutions will work to create a link between religion and science, and between art and philosophy, and to solve problems for the benefit of humankind, and find a way out of the crisis. We've conducted some quite reliable studies at the Foundation. Reliability is up to 85% when studying people with objective methods. Another field of study is unorthodox data processing by computers. The best practical applications are in use in the insurance business. They help to foresee accidents on the highways. We've studied accident reports from Moscow and all over Russia. They mention exceptional phenomena, such as poltergeist, spontaneous combustion, and levitation. The Foundation studies these together with the Academy. We seek to find out in what circumstances these phenomena occur.
Under the pressure of modern technology, the concealed potential of the human mind has been ignored. Conscious of this distortion, Russian parapsychologists have given their research practical goals. One of the most promising new areas of research is the psychic photography of the hallucinations of the mentally ill, which the Russian psychiatrist Gennady Kroholev has been engaged in for some 20 years now. For this purpose, the camera is fitted to a diver's face mask in which the eyes are blindfolded. If, for example, a cat is the object of the patient's hallucination, its image transfers to the film in the camera. Psychic photography, also known as photography, became the subject of research for the first time in the 1960s, when the American Ted Serios claimed he could photograph the creations of his mind. Publicly, his contribution was branded as a clever hoax, although a Japanese schoolboy, Masuaki Kiyota, among others, was later able to do the same under carefully controlled test conditions.
Valery Skuletov has said that visual hallucinations move from the brain backwards to the eyes, where it is seen as images just like real visual observations. This image, moving backwards from the brain to the eyes, radiates outwards. We're studying this radiation. I've managed to photograph these rays with a film camera. We've reached a stage where we can study energy produced by the brain materially. You see, there is tremendous energy in the thoughts. After 1,000 years, this machine, this camera, can be created by willpower. Thoughts contain plenty of energy.
Soviet scientists had begun the study of a phenomenon called Kirlian photography back in the 1940s. This phenomenon results from an object being photographed in a high-frequency electrical field on conventional photographic film. The developed photograph shows a corona discharge around the item, varying in color and pattern. Finnish scientists too are currently studying the phenomenon. the Faculty of Dentistry of the University of Kuopio is currently completing a computer program to change the tones of a Kirlian photograph into a form which can be compared. The research shows that the pattern and the color of the photograph depend on a variety of factors, including the person's mood and reaction to pain. Perhaps the most amazing feature is the phantom leaf phenomenon. The shape of part of a freshly cut leaf is still clearly visible in the photograph, and so is the cut tail of a lizard, and according to Russian scientists, a person's amputated leg. Potential applications of the phenomenon remain in their infancy, and many unknown factors need to be clarified, including the part that blood chemistry and ion content play in the birth of this phenomenon. The red color in a photograph of a tree leaf has been seen to fade when it ages, which has given scientists food for thought on whether the fading of human life could be visible in the fingerprint photograph of a dying person. Over the past few years, contacts made with dead people through television monitors, computers, and sound recording equipment have become focal points of scientific research. Has the electrical equipment gone crazy, asks Professor Ernst Senkowski, who has been studying the phenomenon. Although the transcommunication theory is still very unclear, he believes it can be used to study the mystery of death.
Transcommunication is a method by which we can contact other worlds, especially the dead, and also energy beings, who will tell us that we can acquire new human capabilities and also be able to get contact with a broader consciousness, the so-called hereafter. The world in which we live is too small, and we have to widen our view of the world. Of the many contacts with the hereafter and the dead, the ones that are especially reassuring are the so-called drop-in contacts. They constitute information coming from a dead person, completely unknown to the person conducting the study. The deceased makes contact spontaneously, either in verbal or visual form. In many cases, it wasn't possible until later to identify the maker of contact, and then they've realized that the information received in our machines was correct. I could give you another example. It happened as recently as in September of 1993. After an advance notice, we saw on our computers, for the very first time, text sent by a dead person, simultaneously in Luxembourg and a small town in Germany.
A chess match between two grandmasters, Viktor Korchnoi and the dead Geza Marozzi, gave proof of life after death. The matter led to investigations into Marozzi's chess career and revealed sensational details about which no living person could have known.
I'd like to give you an example using this chessboard on how we've gathered proof that it actually was a dead person called Marozzi who was playing chess. I've heard of a game of chess that Marozzi played against Mr. Romy in 1930. I asked him whether he knew a Romy, and he replied through a medium that he didn't know any Romy. But he did know a Romé, with whom he played chess in his youth and lost, but then in 1930 he had won in a very interesting game. Then I decided to find out whether Romy and Romy were the same person. I traveled to Italy because the name sounded Italian, but I found out the name wasn't Italian. Then I went to Switzerland and found two Romés. I talked to them, and they told me they came from Slovenia, from the same area where Marazzi had lived. Then I received some interesting information. The Romeys had moved to another country and changed their name. In Slovenia, it was pronounced Romei. 2 days before a TV show, I talked to the Royal Dutch Academy's chess department. They had a photograph from the tournament in 1930. In the photo, Romei was spelled with a final H. Since then, the H had been dropped. This is solid proof of something only the deceased knew.
In Western culture, death has always been a great taboo, and perhaps for that reason, ghosts remain an insurmountable challenge for the human mind. The most common type of ghost is a so-called crisis apparition, which appears to a human being who has just died or is near death. The Western attitude to the existence of a world of spirits has been strangely ambivalent, even hypocritical. Ghosts have been accepted as part of folklore and as raw material for the entertainment industry, but not as proof of life after death. Yet many people have astounding personal experiences of the spirit world.
I just finished dinner with my girlfriend. Suddenly, the door opened, and a man and a woman entered. The couple had a tragic past. The man had killed his pregnant wife and himself. I'd known them a few years before. She didn't say anything, but he came up to me and told me to move back to southern Finland. The reason was that if I stayed in central Finland, something bad might happen. And I might ruin my life. I asked him where and how they'd come. There was no answer. Then he said time was up and they had to go. If they didn't go right then, they could never return. Then he laid his hand on my shoulder and I felt it. I looked at him. He was standing 1 meter away from me. Suddenly, in about 1 second, I could see through him. His shape remained but he was transparent, and then he vanished. And I turned and saw that she'd vanished too. I guess she vanished the same way as he had.
A British writer, Diane Norman, investigated accounts of ghosts in stately homes. She wrote to the owners of 30 stately homes in Britain, inquiring whether they had seen ghosts in the buildings. As many as 28 gave an affirmative reply. Psychiatrists have suggested as a possible explanation that apparitions may be the expressions of our unconscious hopes, imagination, or conflicts produced by guilt complexes.
We have formed a group gathering information and visiting places that have been haunted or where there's occurred poltergeist phenomena. These people have such a lot of experience that they can encounter or drive out poltergeists or make valid observations with professional skill.
In the early 1990s, the St. Petersburg publication Terminator received dozens of reports of a man greatly resembling Lenin walking along the banks of the river Neva. What was most curious about him was that the strong winds blowing on the river never caught his clothes. Time after time, the figure mysteriously disappeared. In past centuries, the dwellings of the nobility have provided the stage for incredible cruelties, and many Russian tsars faced a violent death. Haunted palaces are such a common occurrence that the police have had to intervene. For example, the police were called in to investigate a very rare case of a ghost, which in a loud voice described the revelry and the debauchery that went on in the court of Catherine the Great. No technical devices implying a hoax were found. Poltergeists are a more violent paranormal phenomenon than ghosts. They usually manifest themselves with inexplicable knockings, followed by objects moving on their own, and the final manifestation may be mysterious fires. The phenomenon has recently been studied in Finland too.
Poltergeist differs from the ghosts of the mansions, as it doesn't require a haunted house to create havoc. Poltergeist is a working-class ghost that haunts any place. On closer look, you can see these phenomena are not bound to a certain place. They usually concentrate around a certain person. In almost every case in Finland, these are young people. Most of the people haunted by poltergeist are girls.
Acts which may appear as poltergeist phenomena are of course easy to fake. In genuine cases, however, only 15% of the individuals who have experienced such phenomena have been found to suffer from mental problems prior to their experiences. In a typical case, the poltergeist carries out mischievous acts over a period of 1 week to 2 years and is a particularly keen imitator. It may imitate with amazing skill the sounds of card games, chopping wood, hymn singing, or church organs. In recent years, violent ghosts have been observed in manor houses. As deranged ghosts appear in the Bible, the Catholic Church has precise instructions on exorcism. Some forms of exorcism are also practiced in Protestant churches.
Kun mä tulen johonkin paikkaan, missä en ole aikaisemmin ollut, niin silloin minä avaan niin sanotut henkiset kanavani ja otan yhteyden suoraan korkeamman minän kautta, eli sielun kautta tuonne akasia-tasolle. Ja annan kaiken sen historian, mikä yleensä siinä talossa on, puhua itselleni. Ja kysyn, saanko minä ylipäätänsä tulla taloon ja mitä henkiä siellä on, ovatko ne niitä, jotka ovat aikaisemmin asuneet talossa tai jollakin tavalla vaikuttaneet, vai ovatko ne jonkinlaisia luonnonhenkiä, joilla ei ole mitään tekemistä talossa. Ja sitä kautta lähden sitten liikkeelle. Ja olen apuna, jos tarvitaan, ajamassa näitä henkiä pois. Ja sitä olen myöskin tekemässä täällä Voipalassa. Oikeastaan en aja niitä täällä, vaan vapautan. Liisa, sytytätkö nuo suitsukkeet? Me tarvitaan sekä sinulle että minulle. Ja se, mitä varten me tarvitaan suolaa, on symbolisesti me sidotaan tämän hengen materia tämän suolan sisälle. Suolan renkaan sisäpuolella palakynttilä, joka on valo, joka symbolisesti vapauttaa hengen valon. Suitsukkeella me annamme lisää tälle hengelle mahdollisuutta kohota kuin savuna ilmaan. Sitä varten minä pappina tunnen suurta vastuuta lähteä puhdistamaan ja antamaan rauhaa tänne Voipalaan niille, jotka haluavat olla täällä näiden henkien jälkeen. Kun me menemme huoneeseen, Meillä on kynttilät molemmilla kynttilä kädessä ja suitsukkeet. Minä menen joka kulmaan huoneessa, luen hiljaisen rukouksen, mikä on erittäin tärkeä. Ja mitään minä en puhu, vaan minulla on suora yhteys Kristusvaloon.
In the United States, a new procedure called spirit releasement therapy has recently emerged. It is based on the notion that human diseases may be caused by spirits within the afflicted person. As part of the therapy, contact is established with these spirits, after which psychotherapeutic treatment is directed at them. If the treatment is successful, the spirit leaves the patient and he or she gets well. Already some 300 psychiatrists and psychotherapists are using the method. And even though they do not all accept its basic premises, they have found the treatment effective. In the worst cases, evil spirits may take complete possession of people and totally derail their lives. How does this type of possession manifest itself?
Now we can hear what being possessed sounds like. It's a man in his 20s who feels evil taking over. His face is strongly distorted in therapy. His mouth is foaming. His body is trembling. We hear on the tape how I'm wiping the foam off.
Heute sehen wir in der allerneuesten
All most recent studies show, especially in neurophysiology,
Das heißt, jeder Forschung, die
studying the activity and form of brain matter and nerves,
der Hirnmaterie untersucht, unter Nerven, die hat
that the human
festgestellt,
memory and personality
das menschliche Gedächtnis und auch menschliche Persönlichkeit
have absolutely
keine
nothing to do
Beziehung zur
with brain
Hirnfunktion
functions.
stehen. Diese Elemente
These elements
seien
are merely
lediglich
stored in the brain.
eingepflanzt im Gehirn. Was aber
But where are human memory and consciousness?
Fähigkeit hat, menschliches Gedächtnis aufzunehmen, menschliches
They are in these
Bewusstsein
atom particles,
aufzunehmen,
electrons
das sind
and
die
positrons.
Atomteilchen, die Elektronen und die Positronen. Sie
The
sind
human
eigentlich
personality
Träger
lies
unserer
within them,
Persönlichkeit und
and
können
they
im
can,
Falle des
if the
Todes
person dies, become spirit
geiststofflich
beings
neu formieren zu einem
that exist
geistigen Wesen
autonomously.
mit eigener autonomer Wirksamkeit. Das wären nun
They're also
auch
souls departed from the
abgeschiedene
body
Seelen, die den
that haven't
Weg
found
in
their
die
way to the fifth
fünfte
dimension,
Dimension, in das Jenseitige nicht gefunden
to the
haben
hereafter,
und noch immer
but have
hier
remained
mit
here in people or
Leuten
buildings.
oder mit Menschen in Beziehung stehen. Das ist eigentlich noch
This
die
is also the
Erklärung,
explanation
dass
of being
Besessenheit
possessed.
eine klar formulierte wissenschaftliche
What is
Tatsache.
our attitude towards possession?
Wie behandeln wir nun diese Besessenheit? Es ist ganz selbstverständlich,
It is
dass wir
quite
durch
obvious that
Medikamente
medication can only
lediglich
soothe the human
eine
psyche.
Beruhigung der menschlichen Psyche erreichen, nicht aber einen
They have
Einfluss
no
auf
effect
das
on the
Rechtswesen,
alien being,
das ja eben
which is
unmateriell
immaterial
ist
and
und
doesn't
nicht
therefore
auf
react to
diese
chemicals.
chemischen Agenzien reagieren kann. Wir haben also
These spirit beings must be subdued.
Das ist die
We have to use purely spiritual forces
spirituellen Kraft
and our own psyche
unserer
to help the
Geistzüge
possessed,
auf den Besessenen, der
who are dominated
ja
by
nun
alien forces.
dominiert wird von dem Fremdwesen.
Clairvoyance, the ability to acquire information about the past, present, and future without the help of external stimuli, is one of the most thoroughly investigated paranormal phenomena. For more than half a century, many prominent scientists have sought to explain the phenomenon, and today a large number of critical researchers and observers are prepared to accept a scientific basis for it. One of the best known and successful clairvoyants in Finland is Vilho Raatikainen. In common with many medially sensitive people, he had a startling UFO experience. When he was walking by the sea one morning, he saw a huge circular imprint in the ground which emitted a vapor smelling strongly of sulfur. Since then, the smell has recurred in the most unexpected situations, and he has the feeling that UFOs have been in the background, continuously influencing his life. When he was 5, Vilho contracted polio, and the doctors gave him no hope of ever walking again. But, helped by his strength of will, the boy recovered completely and went on to develop into an international class footballer. Through Raatikainen's mediation, countless people have received help and consolation. Through their problems, the mystery of life and death spreads before him every day with all its unsolved enigmas. Extrasensory information enters his brain in the form of impressions and images, and Raatikainen has foreseen in his dreams many momentous events. For example, during the filming of this interview in autumn 1993, Raatikainen predicted that a major earthquake would hit Japan within a year or two. Vilho Raatikainen can produce information based on clairvoyance at any moment whatsoever, and in the eyes of many of the people who have encountered him, this feature makes him a strange, even frightening figure, a soothsayer constantly moving somewhere on the frontier between black and white magic.
I receive a lot of grateful letters. This is one of them. I can read a part of it. 10 years ago, you saved my daughter from being badly hurt. My wife was pregnant with her, and everything was fine. I called you from work one morning. You saw everything wasn't okay, and told me to take her to the hospital. I said she wasn't in pain and that she'd only rest. I went home and took her to the hospital. They refused to believe something was wrong. They examined her and saw she was already in labor, and the baby's heartbeat wasn't regular. She was born with the umbilical cord twice around the neck. If you hadn't helped us, Jonah could have been hurt, or even killed at birth. Thank you and God. Jonah is a bright girl, and you are her spiritual godfather. Sometimes you can't say everything you want in a letter.
Raatikainen's reputation has spread quickly beyond Finland's borders. Proof of this are the letters that arrive from all over the world.
Let me see. Here's another letter. I thank you for letting me visit you. Our son was found in the lake where you said he'd be.
Cooperation between the police and clairvoyants reaches the headlines from time to time. In the United States and Russia, such collaborations helped solve many crimes. But extrasensory powers are not for systematic use. And, for example, the reputation of some well-known Dutch clairvoyants for solving crimes have proved to be groundless. Nonetheless, the possibilities offered by extrasensory skills have been used successfully in crime investigation in many cultures. Ethiopia is one country where the authorities have used hypnotized children under the age of 13 in the search for thieves and murderers. Vilho Raatikainen's powers have also been used to solve mysterious homicides.
This is a strange case. Someone was banging on my door, and I opened it. A young, beautiful woman and a man asked if I could hurry to their car. Their granny had been murdered. I got in their car. We went to the place. I went to the 3rd floor, and they asked if I was going to make contact. And I said I'd touch the door handle, and that'll do the trick. I'll know what the killer is like, and I'll do everything I can. I said the murderer was an upstairs neighbor. It was a man. He said he'd rang the doorbell, and Granny had opened it. He'd stabbed her and taken $50 from her purse, and eaten what she had in the fridge and gone back home.
Many medially gifted individuals are able to receive impulses psychometrically from objects that people have touched. The impulses penetrate their consciousness mainly through clairvoyance, telepathy, or precognition. The Finnish clairvoyant Ekku Mattila has the remarkable ability to predict people's fate by looking at photographs of them. In the pictures, he sees the aura surrounding a person, and this gives him information on the state of the person at that moment. To test Mattila's claims, an experiment was arranged in which photographs of several hundred people were scattered randomly on the studio floor. Almost all of them showed ordinary private citizens. Among the pictures were a few of people who were dead or very seriously ill, who he was able to identify. The experiment was extremely successful, and it raises the question, could Mattila's skill be used in a much wider context? Perhaps major accidents could be prevented with the help of a clairvoyant's visions of disaster, provided there is a willingness to take them seriously. In Finland, a crime that shocked the nation occurred in 1953. Its perpetrator was never caught. One evening, 17-year-old Kyllikki Saari disappeared without trace as she was cycling home. 5 months later, her body was found, buried at the edge of a bog in a remote forest. Mattila has brought a new perspective to the case. In his opinion, it was purely an unfortunate accident. As Kyllikki was cycling home, a car drew alongside her. There were 2 men in the car. The one sitting next to the driver wound the window down and pushed her on her bike by putting his hand on her back. The bike fell over, and she was thrown to the ground with fatal consequences. That night, the young man's father buried the girl's body. Some of the people mixed up in the incident are still alive. They have changed their names and moved elsewhere.
It's a dream. A dream. For me, and he lived, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, yes, ours is like some blue and clouds are white.
For more than 10 years, the Finn Aulikki Plami has amazed the world by acting as an instrument for dead singers. The best known of them include Louis Armstrong, Elvis Presley, and Mario Lanza. And over the years, the list of artists has continued to grow. On hearing Plami, listeners have to consider whether her performances are a manifestation of musical brilliance, powerful auto-suggestion, or imitation skills, or are they perhaps indisputable proof of the existence of a spirit world? In January 1995, Aulikki and her husband Seppo had an unforgettable UFO experience. One morning they woke up to a brilliant light and saw a large UFO rise from the edge of the forest and float past their home. In the opinion of Ingrid Garbe, a singing instructor from Hamburg, there is no doubt that the artistry of Aulikki, who has had no singing training, is paranormal. The techniques of the singers who use her as their instrument are old-fashioned, and they all use her facial muscles in their different ways. Aulikki also assumes other personalities from beyond the grave, including Madre, a mother superior who exudes wisdom, and Carmen, who died at the age of 16 and acts as a kind of stage manager at the concerts.
Esimerkiksi Elvis-kaveri hallitsee hyvin instrumenttia. Ja niin kuin meidän Matre-täti hallitsee hyvin instrumenttia. Ja Mario hallitsee. Silloin minulla ei ole semmoista, että minun pitää olla jatkuvasti koko ajan niin kuin siinä mukana. Mutta sellainen, joka hallitsee heikommin ja silloin kun tulee uusi laulaja, niin silloin yhteys on heikompi vielä instrumenttiin, tämän laulajan ja instrumentin välillä. Silloin minä tarvin olla siinä koko ajan mukana, että jos laulaja, ystävä kadottaa yhteyden instrumenttiin, niin silloin minä olen valmiina siinä. Että silloin kun minä olen instrumentissa, niin silloin on niin paljon rajallisuuksia. Silloin kun minä en ole instrumentissa, niin minulla on kaikki tämä ja paljon muuta. Ei ole rajoja enää.
In the worlds of both music and paranormal phenomena, Aulikki Plami's singing career is quite unique. A British music medium, Rosemary Brown, rose to fame in the late 1960s, but as a channel for dead composers. Aulikki's career as a medium began with a serious traffic accident, which caused her severe back and neck pains for 5 years. With the help of her husband Seppo's healing hand, she recovered fully. Although seeing her first spirit was a great shock, spirits have since then provided a pillar of strength in her life on Earth. She feels great respect for a certain Dr. Herman, who uses her as an instrument in his healing work.
Kaikkein tietysti epämiellyttävin, mitä minulla oli sitten näiden transsien jälkeen alussa, niin nenä vuoti, suusta tuli limaa, mä olin märkä kaikkialta, se oli hyvin epämiellyttävää ja mä ajattelin, että toiset kun näkee tämän, niin heistäkin varmasti on hyvin epämiellyttävää. Mutta niin vaan minua kehotettiin, että jatketaan tätä ja sitten kaiken lisäksi niin alkoi lauluharjoitukset. Mä ajattelin, että mitä tämä voi tämmöinen olla. Ja sitten mulle tuli jo välillä semmoinen tunne, että ei, että Seppo, että ol siellä vaan näissä asioissa, mutta eihän minun tarvitse. Että siis se alkoi mennä niin yli minun järjen, koska mä en pystynyt itse minkäänlaista selitystä antamaan. Ja sitten kun yritti joltain pyytää jonkunlaista selitystä, niin selitykset oli kyllä semmoisia, että mä ajattelin, no minun ei ainakaan päde. Niin taas mä vaan tunsin, että ei muuta kuin tästä vaan eteenpäin. Ja taas istuttiin ja taas oli kehityspiiri ja taas tuli musiikkia, taas tuli uusia lauluja. Fantastisia lauluja. Sanat oli ihan aivan todella kauniita, että mä ajattelin, että ei voi olla, että tuo tulisi minusta. Ja sama äiti oli aivan yllättynyt, sanoi, että kyllä hän tietää Aulikki. Kun minä sanoin, että tuleeko tämä minusta jotenkin, niin äiti sanoi minulle näin, että kuule Aulikki, ei se tule sinusta, että kyllähän oman tyttärensä tuntee. Ja äiti sanoi minulle, että se on niin suuremmoista, että jatka. Ja vielä tänäkin päivänä niin ilman minun läheisten tukea ja kannustusta, niin tämä olisi ollut varmasti minulle ihan liikaa.